Welcome to a spoopy edition of the Triple B podcast, the Buds Busting Balls. To preface what's going to happen, our cameras are off because we are all wearing spoopy costumes, and we're going to reveal them one by one. We kind of know what each other is looking like, but we haven't actually seen it yet, and we're pretty excited. So I will start. We'll introduce the respective buds, and then we're going to introduce their costumes and go from there. Keep in mind, my costume has sunglasses that are not prescription. I can't see anything right now. It's fun. My name is celiac_Matt. That's not my real name, but that's what I am on Twitch. And I am dressed as none other than Cameron Reveal. Here we go. Wait for it. Hi, Magnum PI, because I have a mustache and a Hawaiian shirt and a baseball hat. I can't see anything out of these sunglasses. Hello, this is my costume. With us tonight is Scott Stevens, who I hear has a pocket full of sand and possibly a prop to go along with it. We have Scott Stevens. I'll let him introduce it. Scott, who are you dressed as? And reveal yourself to us in a family-friendly way when you're ready. Yes, Sam.
Guns don't kill people. The government does. Pocket sand.
Yeah.
We have Scott Stevens as Dale Gribble from King of the Hill.
Dude,
RIP
those
voice actor.
glasses. I know you can't see, but you look cool as hell, actually.
I can't see really too well. I'll be putting on my regular glasses underneath the sunglasses in a moment.
Wait, what is your hat? Is it a
everything.
Mac hat? Yeah.
Scott went all out on the Dale Gribble King of the Hill costume. I love it. Also with us is Mike Bowerman, known as Bowertendo on all the things. Bowertendo, tell us who you are and reveal yourself in maybe a not so family friendly way. What are you wearing?
You guys will never guess who I am dressed up as
I'm gonna
ever.
put my
Like
glasses on.
you don't really know who this is. It's kind of a niche character.
A niche character?
Oh!
Boy.
He is Kratos. He's got the face paint and everything. If you're not watching this on YouTube, you're doing yourself a disservice.
This
My
is all
question
thanks to
is-
my wife. She did
All right.
a kick-ass
Is
job.
that really your wife? Is that like authentic wife ashes and son ashes to like the real Kratos experience?
Let's say yes.
Okay. We'll go
All
with
right.
that.
That's why it's so.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
Scott, now that I put on my regular glasses and then I put my sunglasses over it, so it's going to look a bit weird, but I can actually see you guys now. You both look stupendous. Scott, you look great. Mike, though, I think takes the cake for me just for the commitment and level of
Yeah.
paint
I mean,
on his face.
I will,
And
in
he-
my defense, and full disclosure, spoilers. You're watching this around Halloween. We're not recording this around Halloween. What is it, October 4th? When we actually do get to Halloween, I'm going clean shaven, baby. So you know what? Let's try again then. Let's go pit me and Mr. Bauer. Clean shaven Scott versus full on paint Mike. We'll
Let's
see
do
who's
it.
the winner.
Let's do it. I need, Bauer, since you have this dressed up, I need you to take advantage of this. You need to take photos. You need to make like this is like YouTube thumbnails. You can make a new profile picture for your Twitch with this. I need you to do it.
oh no, you can.
He did it.
But see, you see this? So if you go like this, you're like, oh damn, he's badass. But then
And
you
then
do
you
this,
kinda
and you're
raise
like,
it.
there's the
Oh,
dad.
Oh, there's the middle-aged man.
I love the shorts. The shorts are a great detail on that.
It's hot, okay? Kratos runs around with nothing on.
This is stupendous. All right. So
Let's get to it.
Before we move to the topic, and Scott's going to enter the topic, before we do that, though, we got to ask our usual questions, and I'll ask and answer myself first here. We're going to ask, what are you playing? Followed by, what are you drinking tonight? What have I been playing? I have had an interesting month where I spent some time in Kentucky. I spent some time in Milwaukee. I have not really been home at my home console, so my biggest gaming device has been my phone. I've been playing a ton of Marvel Snap. Freaking love that game. That's what I've been playing. As for what I'm drinking, I'm having this coconut water. I think that's how you pronounce it. And it is quite tasty. I enjoy it quite a bit. Let's have a nice, tasty slurp. Mmm. Slurpee. Scott, what are you playing? Followed by what are you drinking?
So I have finally gone to level 100 in Diablo 4. Ta-ta-da! So I have left
Hey!
that game behind, and not a moment too soon. What I am currently playing is No More Heroes 3, actually. Game that's been
Yes.
out for a while that I've been meaning to get around to. Well, you guess what? Finally got around to it. It is a very deeply flawed game, but very, 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 very enjoyable. I love its energy. I love it. It's good stuff. So that's currently what Scott's playing. As for today's drink, a crisp, refreshing Whalebird Purple Rain kombucha.
Purple Rain? Ooh.
Purple Rain. Great when it comes from the artist formerly known as Prince and from Whalebird.
All right.
That is stupendous. All right, Mike, same question for you. I'm sorry, Kratos, Dad of War. We need to know, what are you playing and what are you drinking?
I was gonna try to do the Kratos voice all night. I can't do that.
You
That
can't
dude
know.
that dude has the voice, and it's amazing. So I actually, dude, I've been kicking ass. I finished Spider-Man Remastered. I platinumed Miles Morales, so I'm ready for Spider-Man 2. I beat Alan Wake because I got it on the PS Plus whatever games. Beat that. So now I'm ready for Alan Wake 2. And now I'm a little bit of a holding pattern for the onslaught of games that are going to be coming. So I started up a game that I was like, that looks fine. I'll try it. It's on Game Pass, called Lies of P. And it's pretty damn cool so far. It's like, yeah, it's super cool. Highly recommend it. It is the most Souls-like game without being Souls-like, and I think it plays better so far. I'm probably going to get attacked for that. But like the actual gameplay feels good.
I do have a quick question on that. The gameplay, is it easier or more challenging than a traditional Souls game?
I've only played like 30 or 45 minutes of it, so that's to be seen. And plus, I have played so many of the other Souls games. It plays more like Bloodborne, which is a great thing because it's faster, more fluid. You can dodge easily. You can parry. You can do... It's really good, and the aesthetic is super cool. You're basically Pinocchio, but like this teenage boy version of him, and puppets like were a thing, and they all like went crazy and started killing humans. And Geppetto created you, but you didn't go crazy. Super cool. I'll stop there because I can go on. It's super cool aesthetic.
It looked cool. That is likely, because my wife is interested, that is likely going to be a purchase at some point. But cool. I'm glad you hyped that because I was interested in it. But now I have to ask, Kratos, what are you drinking?
I was trying to go with something I thought Kratos would actually drink, right? I don't have mead because where am I going to get mead? So I went with an AleSmith Oktoberfest beer.
Okay.
So I figured, kind of a nice kind of dark beer. I feel like Kratos. And I'm drinking from, because we can't have sandals. Kratos doesn't wear sandals and shorts. He drinks from a boot.
Das Boot.
Das Boots. That is absolutely stupendous. Well, my friends, I hope you enjoyed the costume reveal as much as I did. Like I said, I knew what was coming, but just seeing it was absolutely spectacular. So we might ask a question at the end over whose costume you like better. I know my pick. I already announced it. But what we're talking about are spoopy things, and I want Scott to intro it for us. Scott, tell us, what are we talking about today?
Woo! We didn't just dress up for this podcast for shits and giggles, ladies and gentlemen. Today, we are talking about the spoopy, because it is the most spoopiest time of the year. And me personally, I love it. I love spoopiness. But, to varying degrees, and I'm sure the rest of the buds can agree. So that's what we're going to talk today. We're just going to do a general topic of the spoopy. Do we like it? Do we not like it? What do we like about it? What do we don't like about it? And all that jazz. So I'm gonna kick it off. For me, I say I sort of like the spoopy. You know, I'm mid tier on a scale from 1 to 10. I'm a 5. Let's turn it over to Matt here. Matt, what is your spoopy level?
I'm like a 3. I hate spoopy. Not hate. I strongly dislike so much spoopy, and we'll talk a bit more why. But overall, no, not a spoop guy. No spoops.
And I am a 10 boy. I love
Cra-
spoopiness. I love it.
Kratos would like the spoops because he could kill literally anything. He
Yeah,
fears nothing.
He has to feel extremes. That's all he feels.
That's the only way he can feel.
I
All
love
right,
it.
Mike likes it. Mike
Horror
likes it.
stuff, spoopy stuff, best thing.
Well, you know what? I kicked it off. Let's turn it back to Mike. Mike, why do you like the spoopy?
So there's something about the it all depends on what kind of spoopy we're talking about here, right? But it can make you feel in different ways. I am actually not a fan of I know there's all different kinds. There's gory, there's the jump scare stuff, there's the mindset, you know, they really mess with your mind. I'm trying to think of the word for it right now, what kind of horror it is. Not psychedelic, but
Psychological.
Psychological, thank you. I was like, psychedelic, that's not it.
I mean, that could be its own form of spoopy, but not what we're.
Yeah, I mean, psychedelic. Just plain weirdness. You've got body horror. You've got all sorts of stuff. And I'm not really big into gore and depravity. I think it's kind of boring, personally. I know a lot of people are into that, but why I like spookiness is the visceral reactions you can get from it, like disgust, or just like sheer. My favorites are obviously like the ones that don't just jump out and scare you, although jump scares are fine for me. I like the ones that make you like, they sit with your soul. Like they just sit in your soul. They're part of you now. Like they in the pit of your belly, right? And there's something about that makes me feel, this is going to sound really weird, it makes me feel thankful to be alive, because it's like, ooh, it could be that, right? It could be awful.
I could have had my legs sawed off, but I don't. Life is grand.
I got 2 legs.
Could be worse. Could be worse. I'm not this guy being chased by a naked dude with a pyramid for a head who's going around humping dummies. Sorry, I'm good. Spoilers. Too much tangent there.
Yeah, so that's why I like scary movies, shows, games, because a good one can sit with you. It just sits with you, and it kind of helps me to appreciate things. So in a weird way.
All right, let's go to the other end of the scale. Matt, why don't you like the spoopy?
I hate spoopy, and Mike used the phrase I was going to use. I hate gore and depravity, right? I just think it's just one of the worst forms of art, if you will, is let's just make everyone feel nauseous and sick and blood and guts and I was some really inappropriate like sexual connotations with that whole element just like churns my stomach, and that's what they want to do. I just don't know why people enjoy that. I like intense. I like suspense, just not gore and depravity. I do like some, throwback things, and you're talking about that a little bit, I'm sure, Scott. I do like some kind of throwback, more kind of campy style of spoopy. I enjoyed some sort of modern throwbacks to that, like on Disney Plus. They had like an hour mini movie, whatever you want to call it, called Werewolf by Night, which was like an homage to these old school like monster movies, which was just a lot of fun with this sort of more modern taste. So I enjoy intense, I enjoy suspense. I just don't like how scary movies, spoopy movies are essentially just a trope that is copy and pasted over and over again, not even going into, again, like the gore and depravity, which I just think is not good entertainment. Like there is like no redeeming quality, and you all might agree with me on this one. I think there's no redeeming quality of like there is some movie that came out recently. I forget the name of it, but
Yeah.
it was considered like the most goriest movie of all time, and everyone like all the horror fans flocked to it, said it was like the greatest thing. I'm just like, why? Why is that entertaining to see? Like, oh, cool, that guy's intestines and brains are hanging out, and he's eating them or something. Like, it's dumb. That is not art to me. And the horror fans can come after me for that. I just think
And
it's like, but Matt, you like professional wrestling. I'm like, all right, fair, but I
well, I
think that's
think
different than
I think the difference, and correct me if I'm wrong, and it's the same for me
yeah.
too, is it's not just like if a scary movie has some gore in it, like a gory part that punctuates a scene or something, it's not that necessarily. It's when that is the focus. Like this is shock value, right? Like the shock value factor.
And to be 100% honest, there is like not wrestling matches where the brains come out. There was a wrestling match where an eyeball popped out. But as far as wrestling goes, there is kind of a genre of wrestling where it's just light tubes, nails being jammed into people. It's very, very nasty. And I actually don't like that at all. I don't even really consider that wrestling. Definitely, it's a little bit of a change of taste from younger Scott. Younger Scott really liked the more hardcore stuff. And now I'm more like blood's cool now and then. Not every match needs blood. Looking at you, John Moxley. And yeah, so that, if you want to go and say, shame on us, we like wrestling, how can you say that? We don't like that type of wrestling. I acknowledge that wrestling exists, but that's not my cup of tea.
Yeah, and just to feel the same way, just to sum up my point, I don't like it. I think it's just pandering. I don't like that most scary things are just a trope, like, ooh, scary music, like, surprise, you had a jump scare, like, oh, look, that guy who is definitely considered a good guy is now going to have his head chopped off and eaten because why the heck not? I hate it. Not a fan. Scott, lay it on me.
Yeah.
What about you
Nope.
and Spoopy?
I can probably wrap it up pretty quick because you guys both said points and your different ends of it that I agree with. Me, I'm like, Mike's the porridge is a little too hot. Matt's the porridge is a little too cold. I'm just right. I like Halloween. I very much do. I like ABC Family, all the Halloween movies they show. I'm a big Nightmare Before Christmas fan. I don't like super gory, nasty horror stuff, though. Like Terrorizer, whatever it's called, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. That's not my jam. I don't like watching that type of content. I hate jump scares. There's movies like, this is a great movie. Shit is always popping out all over the time and scaring you. I hate jump scares. It's not like, oh, I don't like being afraid. It's like, it's such a lazy, cheap way to get a reaction from somebody. It's just very low-hanging fruit. I don't like it. I think it's terrible. What I do like is kind of the whimsiness of Halloween, the camp of Halloween. Like I said, Nightmare Before Christmas. I like stuff that, you could take a 13-year-old along to see it. You get to see your ghost stories. And that's another really big thing I enjoy about Halloween, and I'll talk about a little bit later, is, it's a great time to go and kind of, let's talk about scary stories. Talk about scary things. Yeah, we might be total weirdos talking about a murder that happened in this house during Christmas, but it's Halloween time, and that's what we do. We talk about the macabre and the spooky and all that good stuff. So I appreciate that there's a time of the year where we can kind of get into that. So with that said, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to talk about the things I like about Halloween, the actual shows and movies. First off, my very big thing that I wholeheartedly recommend almost everybody. I can tell you right now, Matt, you'd probably absolutely hate it. But
Yes, I was going to say, not Matt.
One of my favorite things in Halloween is attending a viewing of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. So for anybody who doesn't know about the Rocky Horror Picture Show, I'm pretty sure it came out in the 70s, and it is the definition of camp. It is corny as hell, but you know what? It is fun. Do not go watch it with a 13-year-old. Don't take your mom to watch it. It's not like a gory and appropriate.
No, please go do take your mom to watch it and tell us about it.
Don't
please tell us about it.
Kratos says take your mom.
Funny thing, that's the first time I did see it was on like television, and my mom was there. So in a way, I kind of did see it with my mom. But anyway, the really great thing about Rocky Horror Picture Show, it's very campy, very sexual, but it's also very corny. And if you just watch it on TV by yourself, whatever, you'll think it's just like a really lame movie. Couple funny quotable sections. The great thing about that movie is seeing it in a theater. And theaters all over the place. It's a tradition for Halloween night at midnight. You go in, you watch a viewing of the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and it's actually interactive. Like there is a huge cult following for that movie. I think it's probably like the original cult movie. And for example, near the beginning of the movie, there's a wedding scene where two characters get married. Everybody in the theater will bring a bag of rice with them. And when it gets to that marriage scene, they just go and get the rice out of their bag and just toss it all over the movie theater. Sucks to be the guy that cleans that afterwards. There's a scene where they're walking and they get caught in a rainstorm. We got a bag of rice. Let's also bring a Nerf gun or a water soaker and squirt it up in the air and have water shoot everywhere. And there's so many fun little prop things you do throughout that movie. There's also a couple of surprises. I'm not going to spoil on here, but just do yourself a favor and make sure you tell somebody there that this is your first time watching Rocky Horror.
I do want to talk about Rocky Horror real quick before Scott moves on to his next point. As a former movie theater employee, this fills me with so much anger and rage. Like I assume, like if you're prepared for something like this, like all right, whatever, it's fine. But if I walked into a movie theater, it's like that scene in Community when Troy comes back with the pizzas and the apartment's on fire. If I would walk into that movie theater, I'd just be like, what just happened here?
I want you to think about it. Not only are you cleaning up shit everywhere, it's 2 a.m. because they showed us at midnight and it's Halloween night. So you're like the poor guy who's working at 2 a.m. Halloween night, just cleaning up a bunch of rubber gloves and rice from all over the place. So I think that's why like the town I live in, I got to see this 4 years ago and the theater hasn't shown it since. And you know what? I'm saying this out loud. It's starting to make sense why that's the case.
Fantastic. Anywho, Scott, carry on. I just needed to interject there.
There you go. You know what's a more or less messy fun thing in Halloween though? Video game Halloween events. Yay! I love them. I very much do. You got Fort Nightmare, which granted, this is my first year playing Fortnite. I actually never experienced Fort Nightmare before, so I guess I'm a real poser. But you know what I have experienced? Halloween event for Overwatch.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Matt. Matt, you can cover your ears if you want. Overwatch 2 is a really fucking shitty game. I'm sorry. And they did the game dirty. They did some very bad decisions.
I'm very crazy with
I'm actually very close to trying it out this month just to get in on the Halloween event. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, you know, Matt, Mr. Overwatch, but I think the very first event they rolled out for Overwatch, way back when the game came out, was the Halloween event. And I'm not going to admit on air how much money I spent on the Halloween skins. I'll just say that I do have every single Halloween skin from the very first, maybe even the second as well, Halloween event for Overwatch. And I love it. I love seeing the costumes. Again, any other time, it's like, hey, we're going to go and have a zombie, I don't know, Soldier 76 or whatever he's called. And most of the time, like, all right, that's kind of out of left field. But then Halloween, we have a zombie version. Oh, yeah, that's cool. It's just like a really fun time where things that usually would make no sense make sense and it's fun. Any other time I do this podcast, I'm dressed up as Dale Gribble. You'll be asking, like, what has Scott been smoking? But anyway, moving on. I love Halloween events in video games.
Junkenstein's Revenge is the name of the Overwatch mode that you can play.
And that still happens every year, right?
Yeah, and they have a second one that they made as well, like Revenge of the Bride. I like Junkenstein's better. I will say all those skins in Overwatch, I got them all just by playing the game. So, you spent money. But now to get all of them, you have to spend money. But they have the new Overwatch season that's dropping, and they have a Moira skin, who's my favorite Overwatch character, as Lilith from Diablo.
Yeah.
And if that's in the Battle Pass, I'm going to lose my mind. And if I have to spend money on it, holy crap, I might actually do it. So, anywho,
that's pretty baller.
I do like kind of like events and things like that as well. But you mentioned Overwatch. I had to interject that I'm excited.
You are the Overwatch man.
You're the resident Overwatch guy. So
I am. I played it today, actually. I got back into Platinum with my support character. I'm feeling good. Anywho, Scott, continue. I'll stop talking about Overwatch now.
And you know what else I love? Halloween music. And I'm not talking about really crappy stuff like the Monster Mash. I'm talking about your Misfits, your Alice Cooper, your early day AFI. I really love that genre of music. As a matter of fact, last year I did a Halloween vacation, and basically the whole reason I did it is to have an excuse to go to Dallas, Texas and see the Misfits perform on Halloween with Alice Cooper opening. And that's the type of stuff that like is totally my jam. So I love the spoopy music. And to kind of cap it off, I love ghost tours. I know it's a really weird thing to be really into, but so first off, I just have to say I don't believe in ghosts, but I think ghost stories are fun because even though it's like, oh yeah, this horrible, crazy murder or crazy event happened at this spot, and we think the ghosts are still haunting in the area. I stop at the ghost part, and it's like, no, I think it's kind of really an interesting story. I love weird, crazy history, and I feel like the best way to hear about those crazy stories, the crazy local folklore, is through these ghost tours. So if you ever have a chance and you're in New Orleans and you're not getting, drunk off your ass, it has so much history and so many cool ghost tour stuff, and just like so steeped in history. And I could keep going on and on and on, but please do yourself a favor. If you want to learn a little bit about the area you're in, the fun parts that, they don't really necessarily talk about, only hush hush during Halloween. That's when we talk about the stuff. Do yourself a favor, book yourself a ghost tour. So yeah, those are some of the things I love about Halloween, doing every Halloween. And, in the case of like the music and stuff, you're around. I'll still listen to it even when it's not the spoopy time. All right, Matt, take it away.
Before Matt takes off, I have to ask, do you guys have any ghost stories? Like
Do
personal
I?
ghost stories?
I do. I
'Cause
do. Again, I don't believe in ghosts, but I did see one time one weird ass thing that I can't explain, and I move on my life, and it's like, I can't explain that, and I'm not going to dwell on it.
So
I'm
maybe
just
if we
moving
have
on.
enough time at the end, because I have a short little one too. Because you talked about
Okay.
ghost stories at ghost tours, and I was like, ooh, that just triggered something in my brain from when I was a little kid.
We can do like a YouTube extra special clip to look at or something like that. Get that viewer engagement.
The Ghost of Sparta
Ooh.
talks about his ghost story.
Yeah, we could.
Hey,
make
what
a
about Dale
YouTube short.
Gribble?
Dale Gribble and his ghost story.
Dale Gribble and his ghost story.
He sees the ghosts of all the cockroaches he's killed.
So many cockroaches, Hank.
All right, I'll take it. I'll take it. We're talking about things we like spoopy. So the first bit of the podcast, I crapped over spoopy. I should probably specify it's really horror that I think is dumb. I also don't like tropey, like scary, just to follow the same copy and paste. I think it's lazy. But there are things that I like, kind of like the Overwatch event within Spoopy Month. One of which, and I'm going to let Mike talk about it more when it's his turn. But Dead Space is like the only like horror game that I have played and I have absolutely loved. Resident Evil 4, if you want to call that horror, I think it's more action than horror, but it's somewhat close. So like Dead Space, Resident Evil, I really enjoy those. I like the intensity of like playing the game and not really knowing what's going to happen, as there are things really trying to kill you. Not just like, oh no, the Nazi shot me. It's like, oh gosh, this thing with swords, arms, just sliced my head off. Like some of that is actually pretty fun. So I do vibe with that. I'll let Mike talk more about Dead Space. But one thing I really like about spoopy thing, and it's not necessarily tied to spoopy month. And by the way, spoopy is the only word I can say. I can't say spooky anymore. Even if I was having a conversation like in work for some situation, I needed to say the word spooky, I can't. I would say spoopy. And then all the boomers would be like, what is this man talking
Get
about?
off my lawn.
But one thing I like is intensity. Not like gory, spoopy things, but I'm talking intensity with some fear behind it. I'm talking about things like Jurassic Park. I love Jurassic Park. I love that they're hiding from like dinosaurs and running from the dinosaurs that might eat them. Like the intensity that's there. A Quiet Place is another example of that. And this one doesn't sound like a scary movie unless you really think about it. One of my favorite movies of all time is a movie called No Country for Old Men. That is one of the scariest movies I've seen, in particular for two or three, I'll say three scenes in particular jump at the front of my mind. And here's a quick example. We were watching a scene. And one thing this movie does that no other movie does is they have no music. There's no sound to kind of really tell you what's going to happen. It's just the sound of what is happening. And there's this scene where someone's hiding behind a door, and someone basically, the whole premise is they walk by the door, they walk back to the door, something happens, and you're just like, ah. And I remember watching this with some friends that aren't necessarily big into movies. They're not big into like just, watching a good movie and not like talking and having fun with it. That room was silent, quiet, just staring with intense purpose on what is happening. You could hear a pin drop. That kind of intensity is wonderful, and I wish more movies and shows took advantage of that. So I enjoy intensity that comes with like fear and spook as a motivator. That's what I enjoy, not necessarily tied to horror month. I think horror is dumb. And then my last thing that I really enjoy about spoopy stuff is really funny stuff where they take tropes and that becomes the funny. And the prime example was a movie first, and then they've made a pretty good show after it. It's a show and movie first called What We Do in the Shadows. and then a show as well. And if no one has seen the movie, it's a mockumentary following vampires. It is one of the funniest movies I've ever seen, and I recommend everyone watch it. And the show on FX is just a blast as well. Where go for it, Scott. What do you got?
Hey, what's the name of the person who directed the movie and stars in it?
Taiki Wahidi? How do you say his name?
Can you?
That
I
was a
can't-
test.
You're
that was
close.
a test. I wanted to see.
I can't say it. Someone say it.
Taika Waititi.
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 That-
You can't go and pimp something out if you don't even know the guy's name. I'm sorry.
I know
guys.
the
Call you
name. I
out
just
right
can't
there.
pronounce the name.
you just came off-
Okay, you can't say the name, but okay, whatever. Moving on. I'm sorry.
I'm a middle class American. I can only say the word John and Smith and Spoopy. Anywho, What We Do in the Shadows is a delightful movie and a delightful show that I recommend everybody see. So those are some of the things I enjoy that are spoopy. Mike, it's your turn. Lay it on me, God of War.
You got it. So I am not only the resident horror fan here, like I just love all sorts of horror. And like horror, not just I like campy. I like, I'm really glad that you mentioned No Country for Old Men, because that is one of my favorite movies of all time. When I first saw it on this list, I thought, why is that there? And the more I thought about it, I went, yeah, okay, I'm okay with it. It's more of like an action. It's like you said, intense. But I like horror, all sorts of horror. I love it, except for gore, whatever. So I would consider myself, and I don't think you guys would disagree, the Resident Dead Space 1 and 2 fanboy here.
Yes.
We don't talk about 3. That doesn't exist as far as I'm concerned. But the Resident Evil, or the Dead Space games, Dead Space 1 and 2, Resident Evil's fun too. The Dead Space 1 and 2 games, what they did respectively actually mimic what some of my favorite movies did, which I'll get to in a minute. But they have different subgenres of horror within them. So Dead Space 1 was very much survival horror. It was very much that feeling of my numbers are decreasing. My side is decreasing. I am alone against something. And it's that fear of something in the dark. What is it? And I think that's when horror really is the strongest, is when your imagination creates what's scariest to you, right? When they show you less of the monster, less of the thing, and more for you to fill in the blanks, and you go, I don't like this. This is scary as hell, right? And that's kind of what Dead Space 1 did, minus about halfway through, it's like, okay, we know what the necromorphs are. You see them a lot, right? And it kind of shifts the tone. And that's where Dead Space 2 comes into play, where it's more that action, right? The action horror, kind of probably more along the lines of the stuff that you like, Matt, where it's not just pure horror. It's like there are horror elements mixed in with the action parts.
Oh, yeah.
So I love Dead Space 1 and 2 for that. And I'll get to the main reason why I love those games. It's actually our next section. But I love those games. I love the game Alien Isolation. So Alien Isolation, I didn't think would be any good, and I loved it. And it's canon. It ties into the films. So it's super cool. You are Ripley's daughter. That's all I'll say in case you have not seen the Alien movies. You should watch the Alien movies, the first 2.
Good catch.
Yeah, good catch there. None of the other stuff. But what it does right is, again, that sense of urgency, that sense of I am alone. You go against a single alien, but what they do in that game is the alien is indestructible. You can chase it off for a little bit, but it'll come right back. And it's terrifying. It's that intense of like, there's something right behind me. There's something around the corner. There's something waiting in the vent, and I can see something dripping down from it. It's waiting, right? So I love that. As far as movies, Aliens. I even kind of like Alien 3. After a rewatch, I appreciate it. But Alien and Aliens, two of my all-time favorite movies, period. And all-time favorite sci-fi horror, all-time favorite horror, all-time favorite monster movie. Like, they are scary as hell in such a... We recently watched them over summer, rewatch them again, and they're still good. Like, obviously, the effects aren't as good as today, but they did such a good job even with that. They're so good. It's that sense of I'm alone, right? So I love those. I'll get to that after. So
I
Midnight
want to
Mass.
talk about Aliens real quick
Yeah,
because
go for it.
I actually didn't watch them until it was less than 10 years ago, but I bought like every single Aliens movie. They had a big Blu-ray set that I bought for
Mhm.
my wife as a gift at some point. So I finally sat down and watched those movies, and I was just like, "All right, Matt, buckle up. Not your cup of tea. Here we go." And then I watch Alien. I'm like, "Holy butts, that was incredible." My wife's like,
This is why
"Aliens."
people like it.
And then I'm like, Aliens. And then we watch Aliens. I'm like, what? And then she's like, all right, we're done. I'm like, what about the other one? She goes, don't worry about it. I'm like, all right, that's fine. But Aliens are so good. And it goes back to, for me, like Jurassic Park, A Quiet Place. That's the scary intensity where it's not just gore and depravity, where like the silence really can tell the story. But sorry, I just needed to chime in. Like Alien and Aliens, top tier stuff.
Top tier, 100%. I had to talk about them. They're like my favorites. Really quickly, Midnight Mass. It's a show on Netflix. If Netflix still has it, who knows? I actually highly recommend that one. I don't want to tell you what it's about. It kind of caught me by surprise a little bit. You figure it out. But it's actually pretty good. I also like the goofy stuff. I don't know about you guys, but we watch Hocus Pocus every year in our household. Unashamed of that. We
Did
like
they make
Hocus.
a new one?
We don't talk about that one.
Okay, just checking. Okay.
It was. If you like it, more power to you. That's all I'll say. But we like those kind of goofy movies, Nightmare Before Christmas, things like that, like Scott had said. And then this last one is a little bit more, I guess you'd say, obscure. I don't even know if you two have seen it or heard of it. So it's called The Witch, but the way it's spelled, it's two V's. So it's like The Vivitch.
Vavitch.
Yes, it's Vivitch.
The
Vivitch.
Vivitch.
Please pronounce the name correctly, Mike, if you're going to go talk it up.
The Vivitch.
What's the director's name? Scott, what's the director of that?
It's
Tell
the
me.
I know it's the guy that
Okay.
did The Lighthouse with our boy from, I can't remember his name right now. Spider-Man.
William Dafoe.
Yeah,
Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe and
the new
our. I
Batman.
wasn't talking about him though. I was talking about Pattinson. That's our boy.
Pattinson.
Which I did not like The Lighthouse, but Pattinson did a great job, and Dafoe. Anyway, it's by that same director, if I remember correctly, and it takes place in the Puritan times, like, you know, the Christian, like, you know, out in the wilderness, rural farm.
Salem?
Yes, that's basically it. And what I love about it is the dancing, and this is where I think horror also really shines too, outside of the imagination, is when it dances the line of supernatural and reality. So it's based in reality, but there's a lot of supernatural, but then you go, well, was that just her imagination? Was that just, you know, something happening, or did something really happen? It's really good and intense. I think you might actually like that one, Matt. There are a couple gory-ish parts, but it's not, it's intense for sure. So those are just some of the things. The list can go on and on, but I'm going to stop there. That's kind of like my list if I had to recommend anything.
I like these lists a lot. And I know Scott's driving, but this next point is one that I made sure to put on our discussion thread. So I want to intro this next part because this is something I'm very passionate about. And for those that hang out with me on my Twitch channel, they've heard me be critical of a few things like this, which is basically sound design and music, and how I hate how much they let music and sound tell you how you should feel instead of just what you're watching and playing telling you how to feel. So I wanted to talk about sound design really quickly. For me, the worst thing in spoopy and trope horror movies is sound effects, like ooh, creepy violin, footsteps coming closer, a noise. Like, it's lazy. The music makes the emotion, and the screen's just there to pretend it did it. I just wanted to talk about that because I think scary movies are the biggest culprit of what I like to call lazy sound design, or manipulative sound design, where like, here's a noise to tell you how you should feel. I just feel that's not paying any respect to the audience or reviewer, and spoopy movies are very, very guilty of that. What do you guys think about sound design? If you want to branch out from just spoopy movies, I'm just curious what you guys thought of, because that's something I'm very passionate and ranty about, as I'm sure you can tell. What do you guys think?
Well, to be honest, they only do it because it works. If it didn't work, they would stop doing it. So
Yeah.
you may be a cultured sound person, but there's people
I
out
am.
there that still spooks them. I mean, to be honest, I do really hate the whole somebody's going to jump out, so we're not going to play any music at all, and we're going to make you really tense. Like I established earlier, I hate jump scares. To be honest, I actually hate the lead up to jump scares more than the actual freaking jump scare. It's just like, all right, I can't breathe. I'm tense. When's it going to happen? Every muscle in my body's tense now. And when the actual jump scare happens, I'm actually relieved. Like, thank God my back was starting to cramp up there. I do agree that it is lazy, but at the same time, it's like, how can you innovate sound for a horror movie? I'm sure Mike has seen enough horror movies where maybe he has examples, but I mean, it works, and that's why they do it. It still scares people.
It works.
Yeah.
That makes me so angry that it applies to so many things. You're not wrong, but I'm mad about it.
I think we can all agree that it's any entertainment industry. Once somebody does something that works and they do it the right way, everybody else has to do it the wrong and the right way. They have to follow suit, right? And then it becomes, just stop, please. That's enough. That's enough of that, right? That's why, like, I think jump scares. So, like, look at a good jump scare in a campy movie. Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Look at, like, things like Zombieland. They had jump scares in that movie that worked perfectly because of the way that they did it. So I'm kind of like the opposite of you two, where I love a good violin score, but I think where I draw the line is it has to be used well. It's all about the execution. It's not about the method that you're using, the not, no music, jump scare, slow build, whatever. You can have all of those in a single horror movie and make it good if you execute them correctly. And I think, whether they're tropey or not, I think that a horror movie, a horror game, a horror show succeeds, whether it's campy, whether it's silly, whether it's serious, whether it's gory, whatever it is. I think it succeeds when the creative team knows when to cut sound or music and when to implement the sound or music. I think sound, everything that you guys have talked about incorporates sound. And I'm glad that you brought this up, the sound design, Matt. Like, you specifically brought this up, like, let's talk sound design, or maybe that was Scott. Whoever brought this up in our thing, kudos to you, because that's what makes a good horror movie. Yeah, that's what makes it, or a game or whatever. And for me, the final thing is ambient sound. Not just sound quality, not just music, not using music. One of the best things about Dead Space is if you just put the controller down, especially if you have surround sound or if you're wearing headphones, don't play that game with headphones if you do not want to get creeped the hell out. Set the controller down and just let your character sit there and tell me that you don't go, yeah, I want to turn this off, I'm scared. Like, you hear the ship creaking, moving. There is no music, but it's not silent either. There's some stuff going on. You hear, like, scrambling through the vent. Was that a rat? Was that something else? Or was that one of the things? Like, sound is so freaking important in horror entertainment, whatever it is.
Well, I think we can all agree that sound makes a horror game. And you know what makes a podcast? Viewer engagement. I'm sorry, I'm cutting ahead a little bit.
Let's go.
But we'll talk a little bit more about the viewer question later. But you know what? We're going to do something special for this spoopy edition. We want your comments. In particular, we want your vote on who is the best dressed amongst us. Obviously, it's me, and I think this whole activity is a waste of time, but these other two wouldn't hear it, and they insisted we do it. So all of you vote for me, Dale Gribble. I guess if you feel like giving him a sympathy vote, you can do Mike. And I think we can all agree that Matt doesn't deserve any votes at all. But he's an option for whatever reason. So engage. Let us know. Let us all know how much better I am than the other two. So to cap this off, we've been talking a lot about Halloween. What are we doing this Halloween? What's the plans of the buds? I can tell you mine. My sister is buying me a plane ticket to Vegas. Kind of a weird place to buy a plane ticket for your brother to go to. But anyhow, while I'm there, I'm going to go and take advantage of the trip. And I'm going to go and see some spoopy activities. But the highlight of this little mini Halloween vacation is I'm going to swing through LA on the way back home. And I'm going to go and go to the Hollywood Bowl. catch a viewing of The Nightmare Before Christmas with a live orchestra playing all the songs conducted by Mr. Danny Elfman himself. 30-year anniversary of Nightmare Before Christmas this year, and Danny Elfman's a very old man, so definitely 17-year-old emo Hot Topic Scott. This is a little dream come true. So that's my activity this year. Very much looking forward to it.
Man.
That is stupendous. That sounds so cool. My wife would be super jealous of that one. For me, I rarely do anything for Halloween. When I owned a house, I own a condo now. When I owned a house, like kids would basically be all over, and I have to give them candy. And a quick story on that: this one kid dressed up as the Joker. The Heath Ledger Joker. We gave him the candy one day, or during the evening. And then he walks away, and I go sit in my kitchen. And the way my kitchen was set up, there's a window right to my front door. So the kid gets his candy, turns around, and then just stares at us through our kitchen window the whole time, just holding the bag of candy. And I didn't notice it. He just stared for like a whole minute. My wife pointed it out. I was like, "Ha! This kid just scared the crap out of me." But I live in a condo now where you can't just go to the front door, so no one bothers me or goes to my home. So it's a Tuesday. I'm going to be streaming video games. Not as cool as Scott, but that's what I'll be doing on Twitch.
Celiac_Matt on Twitch.
There it is. Let's go.
We will be out, so we don't get a whole lot of trick-or-treaters, but even if we did, this is a solid plan for you. If you don't want trick-or-treaters, we just leave. We go somewhere else and go trick-or-treating. So we're taking the kids.
I'll egg the shit out of you. Just saying. You're going to get the eggs. You're going to get the TP, and you have it coming.
Well, I guess so. But so we're gonna go. I don't know what my youngest son is gonna be. I don't remember. But my oldest son is going to be Roadhog from Overwatch. He has a fat suit with a mask and the little bun and everything.
I'm so happy.
So he's gonna be that. I'm gonna be John Silver from AEW. No, I'm not. I'm going to be Kratos because I went to all this trouble to do this. So I'm going to be Kratos walking around. People are going to be looking at me like, look at that grown-ass man dressed up as Kratos.
I'm not kidding. I think people are going to freaking love this costume.
Children it's pretty good.
And
it's great.
Adult alike.
And I won't walk around in shorts either. I'll actually wear, pants of some sort.
It might be a little cold though, Mike. So, kind of.
You know what I could do? I could wear shorts, but get like a loincloth thing, like, like Luchasaurus has or whatever. Like, because that's what Kratos' legs, I mean, you see them legs. So I could walk around and I'll just put sandals on and make them look like, the boot sandals that, that they can wear. Yeah, okay, no, that's going to work. That's what I'm going to do. We're going to be trick-or-treating with the kiddos.
And so that comes to the end of our topic of spoopiness. We may like it to varying degrees, but I think we can all agree that we at least like a little bit of spoopiness, and we can find at least a little bit of enjoyment in Halloween in our very different ways. So I hope you have a very lovely Halloween yourself. Unless you like watching slasher movies, then you know what, you suck. Anyhow.
But you know what doesn't suck? You know what doesn't suck? Liking this video, subscribing to this channel, sharing this with everybody. And I want to let you know, so by the time that this airs, I should already have some Triple B podcast stickers. And I'm going to see if they're any good. And if they are, I'm going to send one to each of these jerks to get their opinion on it. And if it's good, then maybe, just maybe we'll figure something out and make it available for people to get. I've already had a couple people say, yeah, I'd buy it and I'd rock it. And I was like, cool. I think Scott said that he has some people that would rock it. So I'm sure Matt has some people that would rock it. So you should totally share everything that we do here. We put a lot of work into this, guys. We really do. I promise you. We do it for you because you are cool when you like, subscribe, and share. All right. And with that, because you are so cool, Scott, I think we have a viewer question we're going to answer tonight, yeah?
I heard you had a question. So many questions. Why don't you ask your question and the buds will bust an answer for you.
Viewer question tonight. So as a reminder, you can submit your questions. There should be a link somewhere. I don't know exactly where. Just look around for it. You can find it. Submit the questions, and we may go and answer you tonight, like we're going to do for this very, very lucky individual. Tonight's question is from Brendan. I think it's Brendan. I can't see with these sunglasses on, but correct me if I'm wrong. And this question is for everybody. Isn't it nice when they share and we can all chip in on this question? And this is, what is your favorite alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverage? So I'll go ahead and I'll just kick this off. As far as alcoholic goes, I'm going to be a huge, like, elitist snob. Alcoholic beverage is Bavarian beer, but it has to be in Bavaria. It has to be the authentic thing. But seriously, like, their beer tastes so good. Like, the thing in basically beer to them is like water. And you can drink 5 of them and it won't get you drunk. And I know any of you drunk people or drunks out there, you're probably like, oh, what's the fun in that? It's good. It's like so good. And you can just keep drinking. And you're like, I don't even need to get drunk from this. This is just really great tasting beer. So that's my favorite alcoholic beverage. As far as non-alcoholic beverage goes, we're going to bring it back to California and our very yuppie drink of choice, kombucha over here, or as other places like to call it, a new age beverage. I love kombucha. This is more of a recent thing I've gone into like 2 years ago, but I love kombucha a lot. So kombucha, Bavarian beer. There you go. Those are my favorite.
I love it. I'll just jump in next year. My favorite alcoholic beverage. For years, I was saying it was rum and coke, but I've officially changed it as of a few months ago. My favorite alcoholic drink is a White Russian.
Yeah. Isn't that the first drink you had? Like alcohol drink?
The first drink I had was an apple teeny.
Scott,
because
you should, or Matt,
Okay,
you should
there
have
we go.
dressed up
And I
as
hate
the
it.
dude. You have the
I
long
got
hair. You just
I
need to
just
wear a
can't-
robe.
And I can't grow a beard though. I can grow this mustache.
Just
but
wear
I
a
can't
fake
grow the
beard. Put on a
All right,
robe.
I'll do it. I'll do it.
Just
I'll do it.
abide,
And you could
abide,
literally-
abide, Matt.
Abide. And
Tell you what.
Abide.
and you get a free excuse to drink a White Russian.
Heck yes. Tell you what, for the next spoopy episode a year from now, I will dress up as the dude. There we go.
And
Hold
dude,
me
you can drive
accountable for that
drinking
one.
it. You can drive drinking it. If the cop pulls you over, like, you can't drink and drive. It's like, but I'm the dude. Oh, okay. You got to be in character.
I didn't know it came with the superpowers. That makes this drink even better. I love a White Russian. I don't drink it often because it's dairy, and dairy hurts my tummy, and then it makes me fart, and then makes my wife mad at me. So I don't drink it often, but holy butts, is it delicious. As far as my favorite non-alcoholic beverage, I did debate saying kombucha because I like having one every single day. But as far as non-alcoholic drink that I just enjoy the most, I'm going to be a very basic white girl and say I enjoy a chai latte. That is my favorite non-alcoholic drink. I enjoy a chai latte. I will now drink this coconut water and mute my microphone.
Okay. I don't know how to follow that up. So my favorite alcoholic drink is going to be an old fashioned. I love old fashioned. And I actually make them here. I have like a little mini bar that my wife had gotten me for anniversary or birthday one year. And I use specifically Bullet. I believe it's called pronounced Bullet. It's Bulleit. So Bullet or Bullet, whatever. Bullet. Whiskey. Really good stuff. I know that's not for everybody, but I really like old fashions. I like the smokiness of them. Really good. And non-alcoholic drink is probably going to be cold brew coffee. I know you two will be like, bleh, but I don't care. It tastes so good. It's so refreshing. You put some ice in there too. It's just so nice. And I don't drink it for the perk up reasons. I just really like the taste of it. And I put in there just a little bit of cream, just a little bit, and it's actually milk cream. So it's just like, yep, and then I'm done. That's it.
I like it.
Are you talking, Scott?
Scott's
muted.
Well, there you go. That is what the buds like drinking. I hope it was everything you wanted, Brendan, and more. With that said, I'm going to be a tool, and I'm going to lead into my own segment next. Coming at you now is the Scotty Porta Potty Rant.
Look over there, he just doesn't care. He's going off on a crowd of people, throwing words in the air like he just don't care. He's yelling at all of us sheeple. It's a Scotty Porta Potty Rant. It's a Scotty Porta Potty Rant. It's a Scotty Porta Potty Rant. It's rant time.
So, my original Scotty Porta Potty Rant, I am not going to say. because I think
Ooh.
these jerks probably spied on it. So I'm going to spite you.
I didn't.
Tonight, I'm going to.
I didn't.
Didn't.
Maybe next. That's exactly what somebody would say if they spied on it. But you know what? I'm going to try to channel the spirit of Dale Gribble right now, and I'm going to go. This is on the fly. I'm freestyling this Scotty Porty Potty rant, and I am going after. You know what really grinds my gears? AI. All this talk about AI from everybody that I can go and make a chore list for my kid written like an NWA song. I can make a picture through AI of Pikachu firing a bazooka at Hitler. Look at all this stupid stuff I can do with AI. Well, you know who's funding AI? You know who's the person who's giving all this money to do these things? Big corporations. And spoilers, big corporations aren't doing it to go make it so you can make stupid art. They're doing it so they can go and get rid of your job. Coders, 10 years from now, you're going to be gone. Animators, you're gone. One of the big things about the Hollywood strike, what Writers Guild, is that studios wanted to start using AI to start writing scripts, and they tried the writers, for obvious reasons, tried to stop it. Recreate actors' likenesses and be able to basically use it forever, way past they're dead. I'm going to go tell you something. Every time you do a stupid AI thing, you give money to ChatGPT, you're basically going and putting a nail in the coffin that you're going to be buried in from these big corporations who are going to use AI to replace you. AI is, in my view, the equivalent of Jurassic Park, then bringing the dinosaurs back to life. You just ask yourself if you could do it. You never ask yourself if you should. I believe AI is, maybe it won't go cause Skynet, but you know what? AI is a great evil, in my opinion. It could be used for some good, but that's definitely not how it's being used so far. This is a little bit more serious, Scotty Porter Potty rant than usual, but this is actually very controversial opinion, but also some opinion I hold very, very close. But you know what? That's what grinds my gears. Thank you. God bless the United States of America.
Andrew Yang was right. All right, continue.
After you had to throw that in there.
Yang
You
Gang?
just had to do it. You just had to do the Yang plug.
Yep.
You just had to.
So yeah, that was a very outside of the God bless America at the end there, because Dale doesn't like government. That was
But he loves America, Hank.
That is true. That is true. That was a very on point rant for Dale as well. So good kudos to you. I can't disagree with you. I don't like the fact that every one of your rants I find more and more I'm like, I think you're right.
Because you're waking up, sheeple. You're starting to realize the beast is coming for you. The Y2K, Hank. The Y2K. I don't even know if this is a good Dale impression at all.
You're doing good.
You're doing
Am I
just
doing
You're
good?
doing
Okay,
just
good to
fine.
know. Anyway, Mike, wrap it up for us.
Yeah, so that's it, guys. What is your do you like scary stuff? Do you like spoopy stuff? Do you like horror movies, games, shows, any of that stuff? Do you hate it? Let us know. Let us know whose costume you think is the best in the comments, please. And please share it. We would love to have our faces all over the place for everybody to see how cool we are. That you get to listen and watch a podcast with Dale, Kratos, and Magnum PI. I mean,
you can't get this anywhere else except maybe Fortnite. But you know what?
but how great is Fortnite
It's
outside
so
of
fun.
Epic being Epic? But the game itself is great, right? So anyway, we appreciate we appreciate you guys. Like, subscribe, share. That would be awesome. And we hope to see you in the next episode. Hope that you're enjoying it so far. We have Celiac_Matt. You can catch him on Twitch Mondays and Tuesdays and various other days throughout the week randomly. We also have Scotty Portapotty, SM Steven Streams, Hero Omega Man. He goes by many names. And eventually, one of these days, he will stream. One of these days. And I'm Bauer Tendo. You can catch me on Twitch. On Twitter, I will not call it X. It is called Twitter. Threads, Instagram. I'm on most things. So come yell at me. I would love for you to come yell at me. We appreciate you. And until next time, bye.